The session is Reinventing New Revenue Streams, Trends, and Takeaways from Leaders Throughout the Movement. I am Andy Paller, Vice President and Director of Benchmarking at JCC Association, and I'm thrilled to have you as part of this session and part of this quite unique ProCon 2021 experience. The session is being recorded. If you're uncomfortable, you can certainly turn your video off, but we encourage you to stay visible so that we can feel a little closer, a little more like we're together, even though we are spread out across the continent. Joining me today is my colleague, Ben Golden. And if you open up participants, you'll see us at the top of the screen. If you have questions or problems during the session, just send us a chat and we'll do our best to resolve the issue for you. Most of you have already, but I encourage you to adjust the name on your Zoom screen so that it shows both your name and the JCC that you are representing or the agency you are representing. And if you're comfortable, please add your preferred personal pronouns as well. We are trying to model being an inclusive organization community. And we've also, because of that, we have the closed captioning turned on, but you can individually turn that off if it's annoying. ProCon 2021 is by far the largest JCC movement gathering ever. More than 3,000 professionals from across the movement have been joining us yesterday, today, and tomorrow. And we are incredibly grateful to the sponsors who made it possible for us to offer this to all of our JCCs at no cost whatsoever. But more than just sponsors, these are companies and organizations who are really partners to the association, partners to individual JCCs, their staff deeply committed to the work that all of us are engaged in. And we are fortunate to have presenting to us today, Christy Brown, who is the Director of Enterprise Marketing at Daxko. Over the past year, I was not aware of this, but over the past year, Daxko has been quite active, finding ways to help JCCs, contributing more than $1.5 million in direct fee relief, as we were all struggling with our closures and the membership losses, offering more than 75 webinars and podcasts and blogs to help guide the recovery effort, and releasing over 200 COVID product enhancements. So they've been in the trenches with us all throughout this 14, 15-month adventure. Christy is passionate about accelerating the missions of your JCC and her other nonprofit customers, and excited to be here today to discuss new revenue streams, trends, and takeaways. She's been at Daxko a little over 3.5 years, working with the nonprofits and spearheads initiatives to learn, address, and adapt to customer needs. She also brings marketing insights from experiencing working in a range of other industries, from manufacturing to technology to entertainment. Just a reminder that Christy and her colleagues will be in the virtual vendor hall tomorrow afternoon. They said the booth was quite busy yesterday, and I encourage you to take advantage of that opportunity. I'll also mention that a couple of Christy's colleagues are on this call as well as additional resources, including Kelsey DuPont, who is the nonprofit brand manager at Daxko. So we've got lots of folks to learn from, and we hope to learn from each of you as well. So with that, I'm going to stop talking and turn the session over to Christy.
Thank you, Andy and Ben, and thank you all so much for having me and to JCCA for being our partner. We are really excited to be with you all today. And if I haven't had an opportunity to meet you, the chances that I have been in your inbox is pretty likely. I've actually gotten a couple messages already in Slack about they've seen my name before. So it's nice to see you all officially and get to have some face-to-face time, even if it's over Zoom, and hop in. So before I jump in, a little bit about myself. Andy, thank you for the intro. I started at Daxko in an implementation role. So I worked with many JCCs who have been on the call to implement our Daxko Engage product, which got me very much in the trenches into the J market and how agencies work and how you all are serving your communities. So today I'm going to talk through the topic of reinventing revenue streams. And a lot of the content I'm talking through is heavily swayed on reinventing and changing your thought process on revenue streams. The resource I'll talk through are resources that my team uses, processes that I have used when working with our product team to reinvent new products. And you can take those same practices and apply them to your program offerings or your revenue offerings. So, and I believe you might be hearing, do you all hear a ding in the background when I talk?
Okay. I can take care of that. That's
amazing.
Me.
Perfect. So thank you for taking care of that, Andy. I'll go ahead and share my screen and we will hop in. I just wanted to say, as far as like housekeeping goes, please feel free to send in Q&A. I will try my best to answer them as we go. And if not, then I'll have some time at the end to dig in. So with that, I will go ahead and kick us off. So what are we going to cover today? Some three main topics. So the first is market trends. So this is something that our team is tracking pretty regularly and keeping a pulse on, okay, what does the nonprofit market look like now? What are the new needs and the evolutions of our customers to be aware of? The second is some peer insights. So our team has worked really closely with JCCs across the movement, as well as YMCAs. We work pretty heavily. And I think being able to talk around peer insights across multiple types of nonprofits is important. And so you can take those away and enact them at your JCC. And then we're going to talk through an action plan. So some different tools that you all can use when planning on reinventing revenue streams at your JCC. So I'm going to take you all on a little bit of a journey with some trends. If you all have never referenced the Stress in America report put out by the American Psychological Association, they do it every year. They did a 2020 report, and I'm going to pull out some themes that our team has done a deep analysis of that we need to be aware of for our members or for our customers and then their members. So mega trends impacting your JCC. The first is safety. And a lot of these trends you're already going to know about. About 58% based off of this report, but the Stress in America report, 58% are seriously concerned with personal safety. And that's an 18% increase compared to last year. Identity theft and bank fraud have kept the top spot of consumer security concerns. That's not unrealistic. That was already a concern, but with the increase in online businesses, virtual offerings, that is still a concern. And not surprisingly, 62% are seriously concerned with epidemics and natural disasters. So safety is a big theme we're seeing in the communities in which you all are serving. The second is health. 61% have gained or lost more weight than they wanted to, 29 pounds more if they are not trying to gain weight, and 26 pounds less if they're not trying to lose it. I have been susceptible to this because I have had multiple epidemic type food sessions. 67% are seriously concerned about their family's health, which makes sense given the last year. 78% are significantly stressed, and it's getting worse. So stress is coming into everyday life. And then 2 in 3 are not financially healthy, and the gap is growing. Community is the last trend. So that I'll talk through is 59%, regardless of race, are increasingly worried about violence towards minorities. 55% are stressed about climate change. 36% report loneliness, including an alarming 61% of those in the 18 to 25 range. And 71% think it is the lowest point in the nation's history. I think we can all recognize that the last year and a half has weighed really heavily on us as individuals and professionals. That's why we're here as a group. But it's also weighed on the members that you serve and how you are giving back and feeding into your community. So not to bring us too much into a pit of despair, I will bring us back up. I want to say that a great point here is that they remain hopeful. So within the same survey, 71% feel hopeful about their future, and 54% feel that they can use their voice to make a difference. So what does that mean? Why do I have these stats in this presentation? The biggest point here is that all of the heaviness and the stats I just talked through position you all as JCCs to be the solution. You all are the server of community needs. You help to address these issues. Some of them are nonprofit based, but some are revenue drivers. So it's really being able to identify, okay, yes, we have these mega trends impacting America and world at large, but how are we digging in deeper to our specific communities in which we're placed? I pulled this quote. We actually did a webinar last year around reinventing revenue. Adam Schilling from the YMCA Greater Grand Rapids talked through some great takeaways. I recommend you go watch it. But one thing, and it seems very basic, but we said we fill gaps in the community and help address unmet needs. We need to understand the core needs of the community and what capacity your organization has to help meet those needs. Something that our leadership team says is that genius and new revenue sources don't happen out of nowhere. They are calculated and intended to help solve problems for the people you serve. So with that, I want to talk through some peer insights. So there are some of your peers, some are even on the call. Spoke with Amy at Tucson, so you all are referenced here in just a minute. So I wanted to talk through some of the things that our customers have been doing and shared with us that I think are really impactful. Some context where I'm pulling this from. The team at Daxko hosts a quarterly leadership roundtable where our CEO will interview different leaders throughout the movement around how they have been pivoting, how they intended to see 2020 and how they have revisioned what it means to serve their community. The next one is May 19th. I recommend you all join if you have, but the last few I wanted to talk through some of the takeaways. So the first is challenging what it means to be a donor and a member. If you haven't heard about this, the YMCA of Greater Houston has actually implemented a brand new membership type that is called Impact Memberships, where they are taking a membership type structure, but really all that membership is a donation and an investment into their community. If you want to go back and watch the recordings, you will hear the CEO of Houston say that they had put in a lot of investment into membership, and you'll see across the board membership has dipped. But one way that they addressed that when membership was declining because you couldn't come in person was communicating what it meant to be a member for your JCC, and or in this case it was a YMCA, and being able to reinvent that type of membership. The second is expanding community partnership and yielding results. So Tucson JCC and the YMCA of Pikes Peak region sourced this in their roundtable with us. Tucson JCC actually partnered with a Catholic association within Arizona, and were able to provide significantly more meals at the height of the pandemic, and were able to serve their community. And then Pikes Peak region partnered with a local radio station and saw an increase of 30% new donors in the last and I think it was in 1 month, and that was first time donors. So being very intentional about thinking through who are your partners, what are ways that you can leverage your nonprofit status to help drive new revenue sources. The third is telling the story behind how you bring your community together. The YMCA of Greater Cincinnati has put out some great content, and I've referenced them here because one thing that they are trying to articulate is that I think everyone here can confidently say that the last year JCCs did a tremendous amount to serve your communities. You went above and beyond, but the way that you can make that and leverage that to drive membership and drive connection and engagement and retention is is really telling the story and the impact. So I think that is a really important note. And then also driving staff morale, making the staff be your cheerleaders and brand advocates helps to really drive your messaging and your impact within your community. And I just wanted to take a quick pause here. Thank you for everyone who is putting in ideas into the chat. These are great. Take a look. So we said that Debbie, Kansas City, says that they call Friend of the J as the form of impact membership. That's brilliant. I think that is a great way of repurposing that membership type to be more of a donor. A philanthropic membership, great. International visitors who come and they want to stay engaged. Oh, that's really interesting. Sebastian, thank you for chatting that in. Or hero donors, great. Thank you all so much for sending that in. The next is, as far as some pure insights, the team at Daxko, we put together a quarterly insights and impact report. The new one will actually be coming out this week, so keep your eyes peeled. And what this is it is a report of all of our nonprofit customers, and actually all of our customers beyond just the nonprofit market that we serve, the status of their check-ins, revenue, memberships, as well as registrations for program and childcare. And we're able to compare where we're trending each quarter. And I wanted to pull out here because it's important to keep in mind is that for 2020, this is broken out by revenue size, the composition makeup of where the revenue sources we're driving from for Daxko customers. And then on the side here, you'll see the gross revenue percent back to normal. So what that means is percent back to normal. What did their gross revenue look like in 2020 compared to 2019? And I wanted to dig in here because if you'll look, the areas for that are heavily membership focused are actually not the quickest to recover. Those that had leaned in more to programming and childcare for revenue sources saw much more recovery. And we actually did a survey prior to this for our JCC customers just to kind of get a pulse check to see, okay, of those 4 categories, what's the stack ranking of where your revenue sources are coming from? Preschool is easily number 1, then membership, fundraising, and programs. So programs are a great area for opportunity for the JCCs and has been proven as a great source of revenue recovery throughout the movement. That could be JCC customers, YMCA customers, or community recs that are nonprofits. So important to take a look. I really encourage you guys to take a look at that report. It's interesting to compare how you are trending to the industry at large. So with that, I wanted to call out, okay, programs are obviously a huge portion of opportunity, and there are needs within your community to serve. So the reality is when staying the same isn't an option, be a change maker. So I wanted to dig in. And yes, the question is other fundraising on this chart. Yes, great question. Other is fundraising combined with like one-time fees. So if you have maybe a cafe at your location and you have like a one-time fee, that's also fed into it, but it's primarily fundraising. Good question. So wanted to talk through our 4-step plan of grow and retain revenue. So the first is audit your current programs. And I'm going to say this is going to sound basic when I talk through it, but the tools you all can go use can really help reinvent your thinking process. So first is audit your current programs. Explore new program opportunities. get your message out there and scale your processes and staff. So let's dig into the first one. Auditing your current programs. So the reality is you all are nonprofits, and rightfully, you all have some programs that are going to operate at a deficit, and that is okay because they are highly impactful. But if there are some projects that some programs that your agency can repurpose to make just a little bit more profitable or a little bit more impactful, you can actually just slightly tweak some of your programming to serve a new need in your community. So here is a program map that we highly recommend that you all just take the time, and you all probably know it, but visualizing it helps land and map out where you all have an opportunity for growth. So let's talk through an example. First is preschool. We know that preschool is highly profitable. It was #1 on your source of revenue, but it is also highly impactful because you are investing in the youth. You are investing in the future of your community. So we know that's very much up and to the right. I know that with JCC's film festivals are definitely a huge source of revenue each year if it's something that you all do. So I would say this is highly profitable and also impactful. It's to that top and to the right. You may have some social programming. So when I was thinking through this example, I thought of Tucson again and some of their special needs programming for helping with those with special needs with academics and fitness. This might not be something that is highly profitable, but it is highly impactful. You all are a nonprofit. This is a program you should keep investing in and keeping to support your community. But it's just important to be aware of like where it falls on the profitability scale. And then another one could be senior social groups. So I kind of put this in the middle tier because I recognize it's impactful and profitable sometimes as like a senior membership, but I'm going to dig in a little bit closer on this one. So let's say you have some programs in this little group. We're going to do the senior social group example. And you find based off of research and needs analysis of your community that the seniors that are your members have some needs for physical therapy. They want to get active, but there is a need for a physical therapy type fitness class. And they also want to do it with a community. One way to make it maybe just a little bit more impactful is to add that program and repurpose the supplies and the resources for the social group towards the physical therapy. Now, if it's something you wanted to charge for, you can also move it a little bit further down the profitable scale. But I know that when it comes to our senior members, there are some on senior active or silver sneakers type programming. So I wanted to keep it less on the profitable side, more on the impactful, but this is a great way to kind of play around with a chart to see where you can move it on the scale, both up and down, and then repurpose the resources you have, the staffing, the budget that you have for each of these programs to reinvent what that could mean. And I do want to make note that we will be sending this presentation out afterwards. Andy will distribute it as well as any of the links or comments that I talked about for those reports. I'll make sure you all get them. The next step is exploring new opportunities. So what are the new needs in your community? Wanted to dig in here, the 3 buckets that we think through at Daxko when we're thinking, okay, what are the new needs of our customers? And you can also view this through the lens for you all, for your community. It's 3 buckets. Leveraging community resources and research that you have already done, that have already been done for you, that are either free or you can purchase. You can conduct your own research and focus groups. I would argue that that is probably the most impactful, but the most time consuming. So we're going to talk through ways to scale that. And then the last is, of course, consider industry trends. I've already talked through some industry trends, so we're going to dig into those first 2. But I encourage you to, when I say industry trends, it's important to keep a pulse on mega trends okay, virtual is important in the world. That's a reality. But is it important for your community? You have to then go validate it with these first two steps. I want to make a point of saying that just because another person has thought of a great idea to reinvent revenue, you want to validate it with your members to make sure it will resonate. So let's dig a little deeper into community resources. So the first is hospital needs analysis. I don't know if you all know this, but nonprofit hospitals are required to conduct a needs analysis for your local community. I believe it's every 3 years. So this is something that is a resource that you all can leverage. I mentioned at the beginning, the YMCA of Greater Grand Rapids actually uses this for their local hospital to pull out some trends. One example is they said isolation was a trend, health and nutrition is a trend, youth development, and social injustice were the trends that they were pulling out and going through and thinking ways to serve with new programming based off of what their local hospital sourced as community needs. City, county, and state research is something you can leverage. Schools conduct research that you can leverage, and then other nonprofits, like I said at the beginning, partner with people in your community to leverage that can be a great source. Another topic is outcome-driven research. This is actually one of my favorite things. I believe in outcome-driven everything, research, marketing, you name it. But essentially what it is doing is being calculated and strategic around how you are serving the outcomes your members are trying to drive. So creating programs to fit outcomes and not their wants. So some ways you do this is there are 4 questions you can survey or interview and say, hey, what are you ultimately trying to accomplish? I know you say you really want this this after school program for your child, but what are you trying to accomplish here? Let's dig in deeper. What outcomes are you trying to achieve? How urgent is this need? And how satisfied are you with the ability to settle it? Because maybe in the example of the program, there is already a program that you think would fit their need or their want. And if they don't feel satisfied with their ability to accomplish it, you will want to readjust it. Let's talk through an example, because that can sound very conceptual. I bet everyone here in some way can relate to this. A member comes up to you and says, hey, I am going to cancel because your JCC needs more treadmills. I keep trying to come in and I want to have a treadmill with my friend and we can't find one next to each other. And so I'm going to cancel because I can't have that experience. And so in your mind, you're thinking, I'm losing a member here. I can't afford more treadmills. In order to keep my members, I have to spend more money, and that can feel stressful. So instead of saying, okay, they need this or they want this treadmill, dig a little deeper. What are they ultimately trying to accomplish? What they're trying to accomplish is they want to work out with their friends. So in their mind, the treadmill is the solution. But why do they want to work out with their friends? They want to increase accountability for their workouts because they struggle being consistent on their own. So that's why they want the treadmill. With that in mind, finding new opportunities to serve that need or that outcome could open up new revenue sources. So it could be more group fitness classes. It could be a fitness competition. It could be if you wanted to start selling wearable devices to help track. I know that's a huge trend to help to increase accountability. That way you are ultimately solving what they're trying to accomplish rather than just a need that they think they know. Sometimes you have to take some time to dig a little bit deeper. And I highly recommend that you do this for all of your different segments within your community. So I mapped here loose. This is not extensive, but just to visualize. If you go through in each of your segments, map out the outcomes they're trying to drive, you can then see where there are commonalities between multiple groups and find new revenue opportunities. So find community, get connected to seniors like me, invest and improve in my employer's mental and physical health, employees mental and physical health. Those are all a common thread. How can we create a new program to solve that need? And yes, charge for it, but charge for it in a way that makes sense for those communities. The last is getting your messaging out there. It does not matter how much work you put into the first two if you do not do the marketing to get it known that it is an option. You have a new program that is available. That is just the reality. If someone on your marketing team is with you today, I highly recommend that you all go watch the session that Kinnick from our team, Kinnick McDonald, discussed around mapping out your marketing strategy. But I wanted to address this group in saying that if you're putting in the work to readdress and reinvent new revenue streams, you have to do the work in getting people through the buyer's journey. One email isn't going to cut it. You need to have a robust process and marketing plan in place that meets them where they are in their relationship with you. I'm not going to dig into this a lot because if you are a marketer, you likely already heard this, but it is a huge point. Reinventing new ideas isn't going to cut it if you don't have a marketing strategy to support it. And I could just be biased because I'm a marketer, but I would say that is essential. And then the last one is scaling your staff, working smarter and not harder. I think this is something that our team always tries to discuss when we talk with customers, but technology is here to stay, and really viewing technology as a tool to multiply your impact rather than another line item in your budget. There are the realities is what we are having to operate on slimmer staffs, and we are trying to come up with these new and innovative programs to solve community needs, but we don't have the staffing to do it. And being able to find ways to let technology scale is the way of the future, is the way to get to a place of financial health, because technology can support a lot of that streamlining. So with that, I'm going to open it up to some Q&A. I have some questions that have come in, but I am going to stop sharing and take the rest of the time to chat with you all to talk through some of those ideas. I see that Randy said that besides price increases and additional sponsorship dollars, as well as expense reductions or sharing, what are the strategies to move the needle more profitable? I would say the expense reduction is going to is a huge component. As far as making a strategy more profitable, I will lean in and say marketing and making sure you are putting your due diligence to get in front of people will help make a program that hasn't seemed that profitable much more, and addressing new audiences with your programming is going to be essential. So for example, and I'm going to reference the Greater Grand Rapids because I was actually talking with him the other day, so it's top of mind. They had a nutrition program that was targeted at new members, that when people joined, they went through the nutrition program. They realized that based off of the community needs analysis from their hospitals, they actually were going to expand it to, I believe it was the senior membership group. And they were able to take a program that already existed and put more marketing dollars to reach a new audience and expand their profitability for that programming.
So, Christy, I have a question. It's been very helpful to sort of think about doing a mapping and a repositioning of things that are currently done to have a greater resonance to the marketplace. Mm-hmm. In your research and your data, given sort of the concerns and the stresses that are experienced across whatever market that study represented, any data that you have in terms of sort of the introduction of new initiatives and the length of time one needs to give them to become a revenue generating source, because you don't necessarily go from 0 to 60 overnight. And I'm just, any different ways of looking at those opportunities versus the things that may be just a little bit more incremental.
That is a great question. I would say, from what I have seen, having your positioning to a new audience is going to show right out the gate how successful a program is going to be. I think you do have to give it time, and I will confirm on timelines of maybe some recommendations of how long to give. But if you're doing the due diligence with that outcome-driven innovation, you actually can apply that to your marketing positioning. And I think immediate interest from being able to speak to the needs a member is trying to address will show the success long-term of the programming. I have another question here of how do you suggest handling when a program is low on revenue and low on need? Handling reinventing when a program has been established for a long time could be tough with lay leaders. That is definitely an issue with nonprofits, because what may have at one point been very impactful may not be. I would say if you are going to sunset a program or reinvent it, it is going to be essential to prove out the new impact that you're going to be driving with the new program. So it could be, let's say we're reinventing that senior programming again, and you want to move it from the senior social group to the physical therapy group, being able to point out that they're still getting the benefits of the community, the time together, but all of the additional ways they will be served with the new program, rather than talking about the things that are being taken away, is going to be important in your messaging and positioning to your members. We had a question around impact memberships. Are there any other membership trends that we're seeing? Yes, I wanted to call out a little bit more the YMCA of Greater Cincinnati. And I recommend you all go watch the CEO of YMCA of Greater Cincinnati did a session with us on their idea of community and being an aggregator. So one thing that he is doing is partnering with different fitness facilities throughout the Cincinnati area, and partnering to kind of make their YMCA the center of all things fitness. His vision is still fitness, and not to say that I know that YMCAs are more, and agencies and JCCs are much more than just fitness, but being able to partner with communities like additional fitness offerings help to pull in new revenue sources that are membership based, but then allow you to, once you have them in, share all of the other ways you serve your communities, whether that be upselling them to programs, upselling them to preschool, allows you to help scale that long term. We have a question. We're considering creating a new membership option with a nominal fee and limited benefits to broaden our reach and increase affiliation and offer more folks a way to connect. What are your thoughts? So that, Dana, is actually very similar to that impact memberships that we're talking about. I think it's a great idea. In that example, they have the minimal benefits is like some access to virtual offering, but it actually doesn't give them access to any of the actual facilities. And then the real impact of the membership is, or how they retain that membership, is communicating what those dollars are going towards. So it could be combating isolation, or it could be furthering youth development, or increasing social or fighting social injustice. Helps keep those members retained, even though what have been traditionally membership benefits are minimal because they aren't necessarily going into the facilities. I had a question of any thoughts of dropping the minimum age to 14 years old to increase the range of membership base. Would also impact the younger crowd, which then would prompt them to become members later in life. I think it's a great option to explore. I would say that before you actually you expand that membership, I would want to make sure you prove out that there is a member base that would act on it. So if, let's say, you are going to expand to 14 years old, I would conduct some either quantitative or qualitative research with families and say like, hey, we're considering expanding that membership base to a couple more years. Is this something that your kids would be interested in? If so, why would they use the JCC? What would they come to use the JCC for? Fitness, or what would they do for community base? And so it's not just saying, okay, now 14-year-old members can come and use the facility. They are creating programming that fits the needs of that new market. I think that pertains not just to like expanding the age range, but any new membership base you're trying to go tackle and expand. I linked in the PowerPoint the Jobs to Be Done research by Tony Ulwick. Highly recommend you all read it. That is the basis for a lot of the theology that Daxko uses. And when I say, hey, go do your research, that is what I'm talking about. And I know Andy is a data person, so he's probably happy that I am adamant about research when it comes to creating a new program. Is there a risk that existing members will move down to that membership if they use the J minimally? That is a risk. Anytime you shift pricing, there is a little bit give and take. I think to avoid that risk, it would be prior to launching that new membership type, being very heavy on getting them reconnected in your additional programming, communicating all of the different membership benefits that they are able to reach, whether that be increasing accountability for their workouts, discounting preschool costs, because as a member, you get a discount to preschool, or increased impact through our social programming. All of that would need to be done beforehand prior to launching a new membership type, because there is a risk and there will be some give and take. That is just a reality with pricing differences, but something to consider. Oh, Amy at Tucson said they offer a teen membership. That is great. Be sure to follow up with her. And then Albuquerque said that their minimum age is 13. I do have a question around recommending on how to measure impact. It's a really great question. I think that varies based off of the type of program that you're doing. So it could be, let's go to the example of the social programming that was high impact, but low revenue, being able to prove out the number of people involved, the number of members served, the growth that they were able to gain from attending or participating in your program proves out your impact. Numbers are essential, but then also qualitative feedback as well helps to kind of paint that story in between. We have a couple of more teen fitness membership types, so that is awesome. And then referral programs. Yes, if you have a referral program amongst teens, I can guarantee you that will spark, because teens will want to be where their friends are at. Any other ideas? I would love to open it up. I love the idea of the teen membership. I've shared what I've learned with working with Wise, but and some J's as well, but would love your ideas as a group.
Hi, Christy. I have a question for the group.
Sure.
My name is Lauren. I'm from JCC Rockland. Just in terms of looking for additional streams of revenue where maybe have not been successful before, with the thought that maybe they are now. Just wondering if anyone has, or you know of, or anyone on the call has experience with successful partnerships with maybe things like local college teams or local high school teams or soccer club type things to get them to use our facility. We're not open our full hours yet. So we have, for example, we have a gymnasium that for, it's empty more hours of the day that it's in use. So I was just wondering if anyone has had any experience with either, renting it straight up or having groups come in as practice space. Just looking for where we can, yeah, go ahead.
Hi, I'm Anne. I'm the Performing Arts Director at the Bronx House in Bronx, New York. Something that we did was we partnered with our local Children's Aid Society. One of their board members, so the Children's Aid Society has a charter school in the Bronx, and one of their board members very generously offered a scholarship program to any of their students enrolled at that school who wanted to come to our music department and take music lessons. So those are being sponsored. Now, it was actually a really great opportunity to engage those parents while the kids were here for music dance lessons. We gave them a tour of the facility, and they found great pleasure in going to Zumba, working out, using our pool, and enrolling their other children who don't go to Children's Aid School in programming. And it's been a good, really successful pilot that we're looking forward to continuing.
Lauren, we have a couple of great answers in the chat as well with some response to that. On top of like sports leagues that we're talking about, like renting the facility, Valley of the Sun YMCA, and this is a little bit different because we're not as virtual now, things are opening up, but it is something to consider. They actually were partnering with local schools to do daytime childcare to help with the distancing. So when we were thinking through, hey, that's a really great idea of helping the schools scale to keep the capacity, it could also help in like, okay, in this new world, there are people who have moved to like homeschooling. My sister-in-law is one of them. She is homeschooling her kids like officially now, but there are times throughout the day of like daytime childcare where you have the facilities, but don't necessarily have the programming set up, where that could be a new opportunity to serve people who've shifted in how they are working with their kids at home. Any other questions? Amazing. Well, if you guys have more questions afterwards, if you have a shower thought that you want to bounce off of me or anyone else at Daxko, feel free. My email is cbrown@daxko.com. Or you can email marketing@daxko.com, both ways to get in touch with me. But I will be at the booth tomorrow and throughout the day. So please feel free to hit me up. And I encourage you all to stop by our booth tomorrow and hear about some of the new releases that we have related to some COVID adaptments that we've done. So thank you all so much.
I do want to throw out a question. I saw it in the chat, and I'm hearing the question from JCCs, but I'm curious to see whether anyone besides the Impact membership is tinkering with their membership model. It's been such a huge part of the JCC business model, but it has taken a huge hit through the pandemic, and folks I know are at least thinking about what they might do differently. And anyone on the call have things that you are trying or things that you're thinking about in terms of the membership model writ large?
That's a great question, Andy. This is Rika Levin from JCC in Midwestchester, New York and Scarsdale. So we haven't been a membership JCC for years now. The membership we did have was for fitness and the pool, that part of during the pandemic, and now have gotten rid of that as well. So actually we have no memberships left. I don't know if I could tell you that they're better or worse though. I come out that it's 6 of one, half dozen of the other. It is easier. It's easier to price them, it's easier to sell them, and it's easier to manage. So for example, an example would be that, the pool is very limited right now and the fitness center is as well. And so we just took away, we had like 18 different options, including, the people that go to Florida for 3 months and the people that go to Florida for 6 months. And, it was like unbearable and unmanageable. So we don't have that. What we have is, you pay every month for the pool and you pay every month for the fitness center, and it's very limited, or you could do both for a certain amount. And we're able to also collect data more easily. And we've lost some people. I mean, there's no question. We've also gained people who really don't want the memberships because all they do is the pool. That's all they want. And they've always had to pay for all this other stuff that frankly, they just don't use. And we do the Pilates and some of the other stuff, literally not even by the month. You buy a package and that's it. And we don't price them separately if you're here for many years or just a few. I would say from data management, it's easier, but I could not say to you that overall profitability is better or not. I will say that the nursery schools and dance have never liked the membership. They just want to pay a tuition because they actually don't use like the way our building is built. It's like one half is the kids and the other half is the fitness and older. And they always laugh how they never go to the other side of the building. And so why should they pay for it? Just food for thought, but I don't think I answered your question as far as like, is it better? That Andy, I just don't know anymore.
Andy, it's Randy Coleman from Boca Raton. We have the luxury of having a separate arts, culture, and learning building. Oh. So we have created, I mean, this goes back years ago, we have an arts, culture, and learning membership, which is separate from our health and wellness membership. It spins off anywhere between $100,000 and $150,000 a year in net revenue. It's not really, these are not necessarily our supporters of the art who are $500 or $600 sponsors, but these are $120 or $150 memberships, which basically gives, you know, it's pretty much for our older adults. It gives them $2 off a performance and $2 off of that, $3 off of that. We too added the virtual, we have a film festival. So we did a virtual film festival membership, and we also added a virtual component to our arts, culture, and learning membership. I mean, we were getting over 40,000 views during the pandemic, people signing on to our programs from all across the country to watch our arts, culture, and learning programs and participate in our lectures, actually more than we actually get in person. And for those of you who have people come to Florida, feel free to send them to us. We certainly would love to have them in our center.
One of the things, it's Miriam Chilton from the Captain JCC. One of the things that we've decided is not to continue that conversation for the time being, because it's such a foundational element to our revenue, when our revenue is perhaps taxed more than it has been in a long time. But what we have done is look at how do we lower the barriers to entry. And we have shortened the expectation. So much more of the try and buy model than sort of saying, we're not going to even talk to you unless you commit to a year kind of philosophy. So it's not really changing the underlying financial model, but it is speaking to the marketing question, how do we use it as a way to bring people in by lowering the initial cost?
Miriam, I love that idea of like the decreasing friction. I know that if you all could just do a quick chat in of how many people are doing online membership joins, I think that is so vital right now, because people are nervous to go tour as well. So they might just want to do a quick online membership join rather than having to come into the facility, and decreasing that barrier to join is one important tactic.
Hi, Christy. I'm Annie Keith from Hartford, home of Andy Paller's workout facility. You know, I put in the chat box, we're trying to do everything we can to add value to our membership by offering more free things, more discounts, because, you know, from a lot of the fitness industry webinars and conferences we've been doing, we know that people are ready to be done with their Pelotons and their home gyms and online. They're ready to be, you know, out with their friends and working out in public again. We're seeing a big increase in our in people coming into the building. So we might explore different membership types, but it is, you know, we do a monthly, so we're not yearly, and we have some people who still pay annually. We do have several different membership types. We don't offer corporate discounts unless the corporation is willing to be the person to promote us. We don't just say everybody from the state of Connecticut gets a discount. We don't do any kind of discounts like that. But we are, I know she's on this call too. We just added a community wellness director who doesn't work in fitness at all. She's true wellness. And she's doing a lot of free things, like she does a weekly meditation. She's also going to be adding some lunch break things that if you're a member and you're working remotely still, you can stop and stretch at your desk or do whatever, being led by her. She's doing wellness coaching. So as people get ready to come back and they're not sure what to do, she's meeting with them to help coach them, set up a plan. It's a little different than a fitness orientation. It's a little bit more of a deeper dive into your wellness needs. And so I think, yes, it's a great idea to explore different membership types, but we know that people are going to be looking, and we know there are less boutiques available. And, you know, you got to, you know, we've heard this before, you got to put your star players out front, make sure everybody knows about them, make sure you have a great class schedule that people are ready to come back to, and make sure there's a lot of value to the membership fee that you're charging. And I really believe in September, we're going to see a boost because people are ready.
You know, Annie, that is such a great point. And like, I want to make a huge little like rock star to that, because value is the way you'll drive it. I'm talking through ideas. I talked through ideas today to like find new programming opportunities or new membership opportunities, but you're doing it because there's some sort of value in a community need. So offering new opportunities, but when I'm talking about the positioning component, making sure that you aren't necessarily positioning it as all of these free tack-ons, that helps. But I think speaking to the outcomes that they get. So the like midday stretching, speaking to like, hey, you're going to increase your productivity because you're able to stand up from your desk and do some stretching. That like speaking to the outcomes that they're getting from your free membership benefits will help increase retention and profitability.
Annie, if I may ask this wellness person, the wellness director, what is their background? Like,
Sharon, you want to speak up? She's on the call. We stole her from the hospital that we are in partnership with. So she was the person we did programming with for many years through our hospital partnership. So Sharon, you want to talk about your background?
Sure. So my background's in health and fitness, but I've worked for hospitals for almost 30 years. And this position really has worked out really nicely because we are really trying to collaborate with the hospital that I used to work at, in addition to other healthcare industries as well, so that we can really give a value added product to what the JCC already offers, all the fitness end of it and all the great arts programs, but now this is more of a whole body program. So we have a nutrition component as well, and lots of different stress management, so that nutrition, stress, and fitness can be what anybody can come and get when they come here. So Annie's fabulous because she thought of this position and got it going, but you know, it's really such a great I think add-on for the community, and the members love it, and we're already getting some responses from them. I have regular people who are coming to meditate on a weekly basis virtually, and then we have some things that we're doing that will be hybrid. So if people aren't comfortable, they can come to a program if they want to, or they can also do it virtually. For mental health, we're doing some things too. So it's exciting.
Sharon also brought in acupuncture, therapeutic massage, and hypnotherapy as well.
So unfortunately, we are just about out of time. So that exciting work at the Mandel JCC will be our last piece of content, because I don't want the session to end without thanking first Christy for a very informative, engaging, and I think useful presentation. I look forward to looking into some of the data resources that she referenced, because I am a data geek for sure. And I do encourage you to continue following up with Christy if it's helpful to make make a date at the virtual vendor hall tomorrow afternoon, if that works for you, or to follow up directly with Christy at whatever point that makes sense. I want to remind you that between 4 and 5 today is our excellent showcase, 30-minute short presentations by JCC sharing the most exciting, most impactful, most innovative things that they've been able to put together over the last year. So it's designed to learn from our colleagues as we've been doing all conference. And I do want to thank you all for your contributions to this session, your questions, your sharing of things you've been trying, and I hope you can take advantage of the rest of the conference.